In this episode, we're going to teach you guys how to color with 8-bit DJI footage. This footage is specifically from the DJI Avata. I brought it into GyroFlow to stabilize it. I rendered it out in ProRes 422. So there's going to be a little bit of artifacting in the footage. This is a good tutorial to show you how not to do too much and to do just the right amount, that when you're coloring your 8-bit footage, it can actually come out somewhat presentable. The first thing we're going to want to do is create a black and white node. And so make sure when you're creating a node that you label each node so you know exactly what that node is. And we're going to go down and we're going to grab that saturation and we're going to bring it all the way down to 0. And what that's going to do is it's going to set us up to now create a balance node. Now for the balance node, the object of that node is to even out our dynamic range by adding contrast and bringing down the lift and bringing up the gain. If we need to move the gamma around, we do that as well. So part of this is looking at your histogram, and part of it is eyeballing the image. So we are going to try to get our readings on our histograms in between this white square. Now once you get your dynamic range to a place that you feel is fair, now what you're going to want to do is disable your black and white node. That way you can bring your color back. So I made a white balance node. Because the white balance is already really good, I'm going to add in a curved node that's going to throw off my color. And then I'll correct on the white balance in color. Now, most people are going to grab the eyedropper and hit something that's white, but there's nothing white in this image. And what I can see from the histogram is that really all I really need to do is balance the. So that is what I'm doing right here. And I'm just working those blues, greens, and reds so they sort of even out in the whites. And as you can see, that is looking very balanced. Step 5, I'm going to create a color grading node. And now we are getting into the creative portion, grading. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our hue versus our hue, and we're going to just shift our blues so they're a little bit more on the teal side. And then also, because we're doing teal and orange, which is kind of a duotone color, we're going to use our color warper, and we're going to bring our purples and our yellows more into the reds, and our greens and our blues closer to that teal color. And we're just going to work it around till we get a nice balance of teal and orange. And as you can see there, that is sort of that sought after teal and orange. There's a lot of darker shadows, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another node that's going to be called the highlights and shadows node. And what I'm going to do there is I'm just going to bring up my shadows and bring down my highlights, just so it's a little bit more balanced in the dynamic range. Once you're done with that, you can start getting into noise reduction, because if you look closely, right here, look at all that artifacting. We're going to want to smooth that out. So the way that we do that is we are going to go into our temporal and our noise reduction. We're going to do 3 frames, better, medium, and then we're going to adjust our luma and chroma. So it's looking pretty good to me. What that does to the image is it makes it pretty blurry. So then what we're going to want to do now is create a sharpening node. So create the sharpening node. And then we are going to go down to that eye drop tool right there, and we're going to bring our radius down. Now, because my node tree is pretty messy, I always like to clean it up into sections. So, and that was, I mean, that's pretty much it. That is how you color correct 8-bit footage, and you don't really need to do more than that. You can start introducing things, but you're most likely going to ruin your image. I try to keep it to a bare minimum. Usually I go less than what I just did here, but I showed you some options, and I showed you how to color that DJI junk ass footage. And hopefully this helped you out. And if it did, hit that subscribe button. We'll hang out more.